What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 6LF Chapter 91 Perona's Perfect Invincible Plan. See that the feeling of gaze is no longer there. Xia Luo also controlled the Longyu to quickly leave the sky above Marijoy. This was his first encounter with IM, who used a method unknown to him to actually detect Xia Luo, who was 10,000 meters away. Xia Luo estimates that this technique is an in-depth development of Haki, and should be one of the most widely used techniques. But it's not surprising, even the red-haired Shanks can use Conqueror's Haki and Observation Haki, the skill of observation kill. IM has lived for so many years and has never left the holy land of Marijoy, so it is normal for him to develop this far-sighted technique. The Longyu sailed quickly past the red line and arrived at the second half of New World. Xia Luo also took a deep look back at Marijoy's position on the red line, then turned her head and returned to the cabin. Hey, Captain Xia Luo. Do you want some dessert? This is the super chocolate bagel number 2 that Makita and I just learned to make. Perona, who had just come to the hall from the kitchen, bumped into Xia Luo and then extended an invitation to him with a proud expression. After eating the delicious taste of Michita's special chocolate, Perona. It means that I think about it very much. After learning that everyone on board Xia Luo was a chef, I also asked about the secret. Then Perona was honored to become the new pastry chef on the ship. Like Michita, she also specializes in chocolate and bagels. After being influenced by advanced cooking books and special cooking books, Perona's cooking skills have also been greatly improved. This time she bumped into Xia Luo, just when she was showing off her achievements. Last time, Xia Luo failed to seduce her, she had to pay a huge price to win Michita's special chocolate cake. Now he is swearing to Xia Luo that he can make it himself even without asking him, and if he wants to eat it, he has to ask for it. But she only cared about showing off her achievements and completely forgot that Xia Luo has Michita, a super pastry chef. Dessert. I'm just a little hungry. How about your cooking skills with Perona sauce? Xia Luo didn't pay attention to Perona's little thoughts and agreed immediately. Holo holo holo, you took the bait, stupid Xia Luo, indulge in my delicious food, and then become a prisoner of my delicious food. Perona put her little hand to her lips and laughed wildly in her mind. First let Xia Luo taste her food, and then become her prisoner, and then she can knead Xia Luo in every possible way. She had personally tasted the deliciousness of this dessert. Perona couldn't help but admire the brilliance of her perfect and invincible plan, and she forgot herself for a moment. Even in reality, she covered her mouth and laughed unconsciously. What's wrong with you? Are you sick? Xia Luo looked at her with doubtful eyes, wondering what the silly girl was doing again. You were just sick, sit down for me quickly, and then taste the super chocolate bagel number 2 made by this lady with gratitude. After hearing Xia Luo's words, Perona also came back to her senses, then she frowned and pushed Xia Luo to sit on the sofa. Then he stood in front of him with his hands on his hips and said with a proud look, "Come and have a taste." It's so rare that Perona-chan actually takes the initiative to show her kindness to Captain Xia Luo. Could it be that this dessert is drugged? Perona's move made Karina next to her a little curious. It hasn't been long since Perona was abducted on the boat, and this is the first time she has taken the initiative to contact Xia Luo to express her goodwill like this. What? It's rare for me to be so kind as to invite Captain Sang to eat my newly made dessert. How can you look at it with such malicious eyes? Perona's expression was a little angry, and she was very dissatisfied with the question from one of the two sisters who had the best relationship on the ship. Is that so? Then let me try Perona-chan's skills too. Karina looked at it questioningly, then picked up a bagel and started eating it. It's quite good. It's already at the level of Michita's special dessert. It seems that we will have another special dessert chef on board. Karina gently took a bite, and the rich aroma of chocolate and the soft texture of bagel filled her mouth, and then gave Perona a thumbs up. Hey. After receiving the compliment, Perona blushed and touched her head in embarrassment. This was the first time she received such praise from others, and she felt light and airy. Then she looked at Xia Luo with her big shining eyes. Xia Luo also picked one up under her expectant eyes and took a bite. Indeed, it can be seen that Perona is very careful when making it. The taste is not inferior to the chocolate bread made by Michita. After taking the first bite, Xia Luo's eyes lit up. He doesn't particularly like sweets. He likes meat more than sweets, but he can still accept this beautifully made sweet. It seems that Perona will be the second best pastry chef on our ship from now on. Keep up the good work. Xia Luo smiled and took Perona's little hand and motioned her to sit next to him. Then, using the technique of touching her head, she picked up a bagel and stuffed it to her. The latter blushed with shame, lowered his head and started eating. It's not as good as you said. Perona whispered softly, and then ate in small bites with a happy smile on her face. What kind of gourmet capture plan? What conquest of Xia Luo? At this moment, she completely forgot about it, only indulging in the praises of a few people. It was only at night that Perona finally woke up. Obviously he planned to make Xia Luo surrender to his delicious food, but he didn't know when he was indulged in their praise. The next morning, Xia Luo woke up from the bed, covered Nami and the others with quilts, and then walked out of the captain's cabin. After learning about the special characteristics of Xia Luo's body yesterday, at night, and Nami and the others have unlocked many special physical training methods. The fun was so exciting for a while that I couldn't control it, and my children, who had gradually adapted to the intensity of the practice, couldn't hold it any longer. The only pity is that Perona could not take the initiative to come to the door under Nami's temptation. Otherwise, Xia Luo will definitely teach the other party physical skills, after all, as two. The first new partner to join the ship after a year. Perona's physical condition was so poor that even Khalifa was inferior to her later. Come to the hall. Good morning, Captain. Why did Nokagao and the others get up so late today? Are they still resting because they were too exhausted from yesterday's battle? Robin took the initiative to say hello to him. Normally, it would be time for Nokagao to make breakfast at this point. As the head chef on the ship, Nokagao would usually not miss this mealtime. But this time, they didn't appear after a long time, but Robin didn't point out that it was because they were having too much fun, but because the battle intensity yesterday was relatively high. Seeing that Nuoki Gao and others hadn't gotten up for a long time, Robin also took the initiative to prepare a sumptuous breakfast for the crew. That should be it. Don't worry about them. Just keep the food warm later. They will eat it by themselves when they get up. Xia Luo shrugged and said it didn't matter, then sat down at the bar, took the breakfast handed to her by Robin, and started eating. Really, you guys are getting more and more crazy. Can you consider the feelings of other crew members? Thinking back to the way Nami looked at Xia Luo yesterday and what she said, Robin also smiled helplessly. Well, Robin Chan will be like this in the future anyway. Let's get used to it in advance. Hearing Robin say this, Xia Ling did not restrain himself but became even more aggressive. He teased Robin directly and unabashedly. Hearing that, Robin also recalled the agreement he made with Xia Luo yesterday, promising to reward Xia Luo after she found the red historical text. For a moment, there was an uncontrollable ripple in my heart. Then, Mr. Captain, you have to work harder. I have already passed the stage of being a little girl. I will not let you succeed so easily before completing the agreement. Robin stroked his cheek with his right hand and smiled. Robin is worthy of being the oldest member of the crew, even if he has never experienced it. Handle Xia Luo's teasing with ease. The time suddenly came to noon. Several women also got up one after another, but they all looked weak. Xia Luo, where is our goal now? Nami leaned against Xia Luo, her mouth slightly red and swollen, and she glared at him angrily. This is obviously the work of Xia Luo yesterday, and others have more or less similar symptoms. Well, I arranged for Lu Qi and the others to contact Mr. Shiki's old department. If I guess correctly, they will be waiting for us on the first island after New World. Xia Luo didn't pay attention to her. Evil eyes rubbed Nami's hair lovingly and said, "The first island after New World? Aren't there several routes here? How did they know we were going to that island?" After hearing this, Nami also asked curiously. Of course I told them in advance. Our first stop is Punk Hassan. There are things I want there and 10 talents I want to recruit. Xia Luo no longer concealed it, but was a little surprised that Nami, who was usually very shrewd, could not guess that he would inform them of his address in advance. He had already been eyeing Geisa Kulong long before. The other party is a rare technical talent in the pirate world, and has also cooperated with Vegapunk. His technological talent is no less than judge. If he can capture the person, it will be of great help to his plan later. Asterisk 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 asterisk. However, in order to capture Geisa, Doflamingo will also be alerted. Geisa collaborates with him on artificial devil fruit, and this matter is also related to Kaido of the Beasts. Doflamingo will definitely not let Xia Luo take Geisa away easily, otherwise when Kaido troubles him later, he will have good juice to eat. But who is Xia Luo? A man who aspires to become the king of the world. Whether it is Kaido or Big Mom, he will be the one he wants to touch in the future. If you don't defeat these guys, it will be difficult to get the red historical text. As for stealing, he didn't bother to do it. The things and talents you want? Nami was a little confused, but didn't ask too much. Since Xia Luo has already made a plan, he just needs to follow his plan, and nothing else matters. Now she just wants to be by this man's side. Captain Xia Luo, no good, something big happened. At this time, Khalifa ran to him in panic holding a newspaper. Since Michida was resting, all the lookout duties were handed over to Khalifa. Don't worry, tell me if you have anything to do. Xia Luo stood up and patted her back to tell him to slow down. At the same time, she picked up Michida's special lemon tea and handed it to her. Now is not the time for drinks. Take a look at this. Khalifa did not take it, but handed a newspaper to Xia Luo with an anxious expression. Xia Luo looked at her doubtfully and then took the newspaper. Is there any big event that can make her think so? At most, it's just reporting on Xia Luo's killing of celestial dragons yesterday. It's not like she wasn't present. Then Xia Luo's eyes turned to the newspaper, and the other women also came over. God Killer Xia Luo. The duel between the Great Swordsman and the Marine Admiral. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket comprehensive announcement from world government. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket captured female celestial dragons. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket the 5th Emperor of the Sea. Close black lens bracket. All the news headlines were occupied by Xia Luo, which contained dense records of how Zero killed the celestial dragons at the Sabodi archipelago yesterday and abducted Leah. It also records the scene of the battle between Xia Luo and Marine Admiral, including the scene when 5 CPO members were surrounded and beaten without moral ethics, and were finally killed by Xia Luo. When Morgans received the information from members of the Sabodi archipelago newspaper, he was so excited that his whole body trembled, his feathers fell all over the floor, and he was still muttering, "Big news, great news. Big news that covers the world." Ignoring the warnings of the world government, I personally wrote various headlines that night and then published them to all newspapers in the world and the Grand Route. After one night's hard work, this news that shocked the world was printed. The world government was frustrated that the warning was useless and could only issue a comprehensive notice. If someone can kill Xia Luo, he will be exempted from punishment no matter what he did before, and he can also join the Shichibukai organization established by the world government and enjoy Shichibukai treatment. And will issue the highest level of crusade, buster call, against Xia Luo. Once traces of Xia Luo are found in the New World, a buster call will be issued. 2 admirals will personally lead 10 vice admirals to crusade and attack any island where Xia Luo is located indiscriminately. This is a deterrent to Xia Luo, and also a deterrent to anyone in New World. Anyone who dares to shield Xia Luo will face the wrath of the world government and marine. Not many people can withstand the magic command led by the 2 admirals themselves, not even the 4 emperors dared to touch it easily. And redefined Xia Luo's bounty. Xia Luo's second bounty was as high as 3 billion. It has completely reached the level of 4 emperors, far beyond the average deputy of the emperor. It seems that Xia Luo is really hated, and such a high bounty was set for Xia Luo after only 2 bounties were offered. This Gen C is quite interesting. Xia Luo looked at the news and said with a brisk smile. In Xia Luo's view, Morgans is building momentum for himself, and must turn himself, a new pirate, into the 5th Emperor of the Sea. Captain Xia Luo, is now the time to say this? We will be isolated and helpless in the New World from now on. There will be almost no one to join us, and we will be surrounded by many people. Keep an eye on. Seeing that Xia Luo could still laugh, Khalifa said anxiously. Okay, Khalifa, have you forgotten what my fruit is? No matter buster call, as long as we are floating in the sky, no matter how strong they are, they will never send troops to pursue us. Come. Xia Luo chuckled and signaled the other party to calm down. As for what Khalifa said about being alone and helpless, he doesn't care at all, whether there is any. When people seek refuge with him, he can draw a group of allies by himself. With the crew training room, it doesn't take long. In just 2 years, he can build a large number of Vice Admiral level combat forces. Give Ney and the others 10 more time to grow into a Marine Admiral. Not difficult. At that time, even if you hold on to Naval Headquarters, it will not be in vain, and you can even directly defeat Naval Headquarters. Chapter 92 Shocked. A new wanted order for Xia Luo's gang. With the help of Morgans, countless newsbirds flew to all parts of the world with fresh newspapers, and the sea boiled instantly. The contents of the newspaper were like a bomb falling into a pool, instantly blowing up the pool and sending water splashing everywhere. The 4 sea areas, the front and back half of the Great Route. Whether they are pirates, civilians, bounty hunters, adventurers, or marines, when they see God Killer Xia Luo on the newspaper headlines, everyone began to suspect that there was something wrong with their eyes. After wiping their eyes and repeatedly confirming the headlines in the newspaper, everyone was shocked. The pirates in the 4 seas are puzzled. The pirates in the first half of New World are afraid, and the pirates in the second half of New World are laughing wildly. Ha 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 ha, does anyone dare to touch those stupid pigs? It's so interesting. Dead. He's actually dead. Those guys who claim to be gods are nothing more than that. I've long been unhappy with these superior guys. Ha ha ha, yes, these guys collect a lot of heavenly gold every year, causing our kingdom's tax revenue to gradually increase every year. God Killer Xia Luo. If I remember, 683, correctly. This guy should be the successor of Golden Lion Shiki, right? After 2 years of silence, he came out and did 2 big things. Ha 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 ha, the Eni's lobby was destroyed so well, the celestial dragons really deserve to die. Female celestial dragons. This guy really knows how to enjoy himself. I heard that almost all of Xia Luo's ships are female, and almost all of these crew members are his women. It really deserves its reputation. Hey, what should we pay more attention to is the battle between Xia Luo and Marine Admiral Kizaru. I heard that even Kizaru can't do anything to him. This kind of strength should have reached the level of the 5 emperors mentioned in the newspaper, right? Look, Marine has also reissued a bounty on Golden Lion 2 and his gang. At the same time, Marine also issued a wanted order for Xia Luo and others to the world, and it quickly spread to every part of the sea. Golden Lion 2. Xia Luo, bounty. 3.1456 billion Bailey, life or death. Note. Lion fruit has the ability and has the strength of a great swordsman. Little thieving cat. Nami, bounty. 752.3 million Baileys, life or death. Note. One of the East Blue Phantom Thieves duo, a user with Thunder Fruit ability. Phantom Thief. Karina, bounty. 686 million Baileys, life or death. Remarks. One of the East Blue Phantom Thieves duo, a user with barrier fruit ability. Toxic powder. Reiju bounty. 450 million Baileys, only allowed to live. Kedge. Note. The Princess of the Kingdom of Germa. Son of the Devil. Nico Robin, bounty. 830 million Baileys. Only allowed to be captured alive. Note. Survivors of Ohara. Smuggler. Michita, bounty. 200 million Belly, life or death. Former member of Baroque Studio, Treason Princess. Nefeltari Vivi, bounty. 80 million Baileys, only allowed to be captured alive. Princess of Alabasta. Close black lens bracket. Devil Ship Doctor. Kaya, bounty. 79 million Baileys, life or death. The first crew member of Golden Lion 2. Princess Mononoke. Perona, bounty. 156 million Baileys, life or death. Formerly a crew member of Gecko Moria, joined Xia Luo's group after being defeated. Close black lens bracket. Demon Chef. Naki Ko, bounty. 215 million Baileys, life or death. The chef of the new Sky Pirates, the sister of the little thieving cat Nami. Servant of God. Lackey, bounty. 100 million Baileys, life or death. Calling himself a servant of God, he calls Golden Lion 2 Wa. The Maid of God, Konus, bounty. 68 million Berry, life or death. She calls herself God's maid and calls Golden Lion 2 God. Sheep. Khalifa, bounty. 89 million Berry, life or death. Defected CP9 agent, killed the former CP9 leader. The above is all the bounty of the Xia Luo fleet. Even the newly joined Perona is no exception, and all of them have bounties on their heads, and Lucci, Kaku, and Bluno, who were sent out by Xia Luo, also received bounties, but are now excluded from the fleet because they are affiliated members. Mainly because these people were not in the ship group during the Saboti archipelago, so they were regarded by Marine as subordinates outside the ship group. Killing weapon. Rob Lucci, bounty. 185 million Baileys, life or death. The defecting CP9 agent killed the former CP9 commander. Mountain Breeze. Kaku, bounty. 120 million Baileys, life or death. The defecting CP9 agent killed the former CP9 commander. Stupid Cow, Bluno, bounty. 83 million Baileys, life or death, a defected CP9 agent who killed the former CP9 leader. This bounty is too exaggerated. Almost all the crew members have a bounty of over 100 million, and 3 of its crew members have a bounty of more than 500 million. The Golden Lion 2 has a terrifying bounty of 31.1456 billion. And another Shichibukai has been defeated. This is the second Shichibukai he has defeated. Defeating Shichibukai, one of the 3 major forces of the sea, and adding this bounty, he can be said to be the well-deserved 5th Emperor. There are also people with Thunder Fruit and Barrier Fruit abilities on the ship. This guy is really lucky to find 2 beautiful girls with powerful fruit abilities to be him. Crew. Damn it, this Golden Lion 2 actually kidnapped 2 princesses by himself. I really want to live a life of luxury with the princesses every day. If you F-King want to eat it, you deserve to be with the little flower from the next village. FKU, you just had an affair with that fat woman. Is this the time for you to discuss this? You see, he even dares to capture celestial dragons as female slaves. No one in the world has the courage to do this. Lousy has made up his mind. I will go to sea to follow this master. Whoever dares to slander Golden Lion 2 Xia Luo will be my enemy in the future. East Blue, an unknown island. Haha, only such a powerful man is a good match for beauties like us. A beauty with black hair and dressed like a female pirate looked at the newspaper in front of her and smiled. Indeed, only such powerful people are worthy of us. Next to the black-haired female pirate was a fierce beauty dressed similarly to her, but with short blonde hair. Gel? The two looked at each other and let out an exaggerated princess laugh. What Khalifa didn't know was that Marine's comprehensive announcement did not leave Xia Luo in an isolated situation. On the contrary, countless people who were oppressed by the celestial dragons wanted to follow Xia Luo, just because Xia Luo's fearless actions of the world government touched their hearts. Many people from all over the world and even the Grand Route have been fans of Xia Luo, and they have expressed their intention to join Xia Luo's force. Countless countries that were oppressed by nobles, or were destroyed because they could not pay the heavenly gold, or whose families were once slaves of celestial dragons, all cheered for Xia Luo. They regarded Xia Luo as a hero and idol. But there are also people who are afraid of Xia Luo. Those are the most ordinary civilians who are used to being oppressed. In their eyes, Xia Luo is a lawless pirate. If caught by the other party, the man will be stewed in the pot, and the woman will become the plaything of the other party. They had heard that this Xia Luo was like a giant beast that couldn't get enough to eat. He once ate in East Blue for a long time and ate ingredients for a banquet for tens of thousands of people, and ended up eating food worth tens of millions of belly. There are even rumors that Xia Luo ate all the chefs who cooked for him because he didn't have enough to eat. He was an out-and-out ogre. Of course, these are false information maliciously promoted by Marine to mislead the public, just to make ordinary people fear Xia Luo and then reject Xia Luo. This In this way, Marine will be more popular with the people. This is their usual slanderous method. In particular, Xia Luo's move of seizing the Shalulia Palace and killing the celestial dragons was even more publicized among the common people as a heinous villain. Only those big shots who stand at the top of the world pay attention to the information behind the god killer. Killing the celestial dragons and kidnapping the celestial dragons was undoubtedly a shock to them. But in the eyes of these strong men, the celestial dragons are just a group of weak guys, but they enjoy supreme privileges and can mobilize the overlord-level combat power on the sea, so no one dares to attack them. Anyone who has actually fought against Marine Admiral knows their terrifying strength. And Xia Luo was actually able to compete with a Marine Admiral and exit without any injuries. He even killed 5 powerful CPO agents in front of the Marine Admiral. Therefore, when this guy who attacked the celestial dragons was surrounded and pursued by the troops led by Marine Admiral, and was able to repel Marine Admiral and evacuate without any injuries appeared. The name of Golden Lion 2, Xia Luo, has once again entered the eyes of these top powerhouses in the world. Chapter 93 Turbulent New World aboard Moby Dick. Whitebeard took a newspaper from Newsbird, read it, and suddenly laughed out loud. Gu la 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 la. Shiki's successor hasn't entered the New World yet, and what kind of big incident has it caused? He is really a troublesome guy. Golden Lion 2, Xia Luo? This name is mine. Remember? Dad, is there any interesting news? What kind of person is this guy who can attract such attention from you? Marco on the side was attracted by Whitebeard's laughter and then asked curiously. Ha ha ha, let's see Marco, he is the successor of the old guy Gina. That, Golden Lion 2 Xia Luo? I still remember this person. I heard that he had been dormant for 2 years and just recently started to sail again. I heard that he had done something big before, and now he has caused some trouble? Marco took the newspaper from Whitebeard and started reading it. Immediately afterwards, I was shocked by the information in the news above. This, Golden Lion 2, is too bold. He actually attacked those guys. No wonder Marine is so anxious. He is probably looking for him all over the world now. The traces of 24 bars. After reading it, Marco slowly came back to his senses and then murmured to himself. I haven't seen such an interesting kid for a long time. East Blue has really been full of talents in the past few years. Several super newcomers have emerged one after another. Now even Thunder Fruit and Barrier Fruit have been re-released. They are all young people with great potential. Ah, Eula la la la. Whitebeard laughed loudly, with admiration in his eyes. He obviously also admired Xia Luo's actions. Indeed, I remember this Xia Luo was a guy who went overseas in the same year as Ace. I didn't expect that after 2 years of silence, he would do such a big thing, and he would be ranked as famous as his father by Morgans. When he arrived in New World, should we recruit this guy? This boy is very ambitious. He is a man who has inherited the will of the Golden Lion. When he enters the New World, he will definitely consolidate his strength and then start to challenge the overlords of the sea. I just don't know who this guy will challenge first. Hey, Gu la 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 la, it's really interesting. Whitebeard is very good at reading people. From the look in the photo, Xia Luo's eyes are really very similar to his former opponent. It is the once all-powerful pirate, Golden Lion, Haki, who is known as the man from the sky who only deserves this sea. The ambition to rule the world is also revealed in his eyes. By the way, Dad, the situation in the sea is so unstable now. Should we call Ace back? I'm afraid Marine will go crazy and hunt down the pirates in the first half. Marco seemed to have remembered something and suddenly exclaimed as a reminder. Gu la 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 la, don't worry, who do you think Laozi is? Laozi is the strongest man in the world. He dare not touch my son because of his beard. It New World, Dressrosa. What the hell, he actually took action against those idiots. What a bold guy. Those 5 old guys were so anxious that they openly ordered the celestial dragons to be stripped of their identity. Does it mean that the identity of the celestial dragons is something they can dispose of at will? Doflamingo looked at the newspaper in his hand with a gloating expression on his face, but the veins popping out from his forehead didn't seem to be in as good a mood as the stupid sound coming out of his mouth. And he didn't die in the hands of these arrogant guys who call themselves gods, just want to make people laugh, ha 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 ha. Doflamingo's words revealed information that the Cadres could not understand, and they were pointedly directed at the celestial dragons who are gods. Dover, this guy ruined our human trafficking business in Saboti Archipelago. Disco has already called to ask for help. Is it really okay to just let this guy go? Yo, Diamante, because the new era is smiling at me. Human trafficking is obsolete. The sea in the future will be more turbulent. We are about to welcome a new era. Don't bother with guys like Disco. His life or death. After finishing speaking, Doflamingo also fell into silence, his face gloomy and his head bruised with veins. The servant of God. The maid of God. Does this guy also want to be a god? Blah blah blah, it's getting more and more interesting. FN. Well, Golden Lion 2, that guy Haki has also found a good successor. Katakuri, this Xia Luo should have entered the New World now. Send him an invitation to the tea party. With his current situation, he will definitely recruit Shiki's subordinates who stay in the New World. Charlotte Linlin held the cake in one hand and the newspaper in the other hand, looking at it with a happy laugh. Mom, what do you mean? Katakuri's eyes narrowed, and he heard what the ant was thinking in these words. But it seems not good to get involved with Xia Luo at this time, especially with the comprehensive announcement from the world government. It will be troublesome to provoke Admiral to attack Cake Island. Well, this brat likes beauties very much, right? If that's the case, then let me marry my daughters to him. As long as I can win over this brat, whether it's one or two, as long as he likes them, it's fine. Promise it to him. Charlotte Linlin chuckled, and then her eyes flashed. Xia Luo's special physique is very similar to hers. If he can be drawn into his own camp, then the realization of Wan Guo's plan will be smoother. And he will also add a new type of human with an unknown physique, so he kills two birds with one stone. Charlotte Linlin laughed out loud. She felt that she could really fulfill her dream and become the Pirate King in her lifetime. Katakuri was sweating profusely. Although he had many questions in his heart and was extremely distrustful of Xia Luo, an unstable factor. Looking at Linlin, who was laughing, Keita didn't dare to go against his mother at this time. This consequence is not something he can bear. Ghost Island. Boss Kaido, a very interesting thing happened. Jin took the newspaper in his hand and walked to Kaido. Ooh. At this time, Kaido was bursting into tears and crying loudly. Daughter, you drunk? Seeing Kaido like this, Jin felt a soybean dripping from his head and said helplessly. Well, forget it, I probably know what you're going to say anyway. Taking a look at Xia Luo's Haki's awe-inspiring face on the newspaper in his hand, the flames around Jin's body became even brighter. Chapter 94. Call it Billy Billy. What? 3.1456 billion Baileys. Nami and Karina looked at the wanted posters in their hands in shock, their eyes almost popping out of their sockets. He glanced at the man named Haki on the wanted poster, and it was Xia Luo in front of him. It's unbelievable that Marine would actually issue such a high-level reward. No wonder the newspapers would call you the Fifth Emperor. After calming down her surprise, Nami murmured to herself. I guess killing those two celestial dragons and capturing Cholulia made the world government anxious. Now everyone on the ship has a bounty on Marine's head. Xia Luo chuckled, not surprised that he received such a high reward. After all, his current strength is equal to Admiral's, and he can even defeat Admiral in a fight. Judging from his strength, he has indeed reached the Four Emperors level. But what surprised him was that it was the first time Nami and others were offered a reward, and they actually received such a high reward amount. You know, Nami and Karina's bounties can reach the star level in Big Mom's pirate group. Xia Luo probably had two moves with Kizaru before. Nami's lightning kick is comparable to the speed of light, and the thunder cannon is more terrifying than ordinary lasers, and he can keep up with Kizaru's speed. These are part of the reasons for her high reward. Naturally, Karina received Kizaru's laser without any injuries, and these two people also tortured the Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters so miserably. In the end, Marine evaluated their strength, so they gave such a high bounty. I didn't expect that Marine actually found out all the things we did in East Blue before, and even named us the East Blue Phantom Thieves duo. Speaking of being rewarded, Karina was also a little angry. It was obvious that he had stopped working as a thief, but Marine found out about it and gave himself the title of Phantom Thief. The most important thing is, her bounty is actually lower than Nami. She has been competing with Nami, and she feels dissatisfied because of her competitive nature. No matter how you say that you should be the same as Nami's merchant, now you are tens of millions of berries lower than the other party. It's like telling others that you are weaker than Nami. At least your nickname is nicer than mine. Phantom Thief. Sounds much better than my Little Thief Cat. Little Thief Cat sounds like a little thief cat. I should think of a louder nickname for myself, like. Nami also had a look of disgust on his face. He was obviously not very satisfied with his nickname. He raised his index finger to his chin and thought about it. For example, call her Reiki, or Dengeki Princess or something. Nami smiled playfully and tapped the air with her fingertips, and the crackle of thunder and lightning suddenly sounded. Actually, I think it would be nice to call him Thunder King or Billy Billy. Xia Luo interjected and joked, thinking of some nicknames about a certain lightning user in the past. Bah, Thunder Dharma King. It sounds so unpleasant, like a name that should be chosen by an unshaven uncle. And what is this Billy Billy? It's just a nickname for the sound of thunder and lightning. Who would think that such a title is loud? Nami immediately frowned and said in disgust. Ha, it doesn't matter, it's just a title, and it won't hinder our lives. Maybe after you use the thunder cannon a few more times, the next time Marine puts a bounty on you, you can change it to the Thunder Cannon Princess. Ha. Xia Luo used the head-touching technique, rubbed Nami's lil head and said comfortingly. However, the latter's pouty mouth showed that this comfort failed to extinguish her anger. Speaking of which, why is Sister Robin's reward higher than ours? Karina asked with some confusion. What she holds in her hand is Robin's reward order, and on the front is a photo she captured using flower fruit. Robin's expression was calm, with a faint smile hanging on the corner of his mouth. I don't know when the war reporters captured these photos, and even Xia Luo didn't notice them. Is it possible that every war reporter has a high level of knowledge? not only can he block others from predicting the future, but he can also block perception? I'm afraid it has something to do with my identity. I am a survivor of Ohara, and I have the ability to interpret historical texts. The world government is probably afraid of this identity, so it offers such a high reward. Robin smiled lightly and said that the high reward did not bring her any pride. On the contrary, she also knows where she really threatens the world government. Since they know you are so important, Sister Robin, why didn't they send powerful people to catch you before, or raise the reward? I don't have any other meaning, I'm just curious about world government's actions. Karina looked confused and couldn't help but ask. When she reacted, she hurriedly added. Mainly because the question she asked was like blaming the world government, why not? It's like being prepared to catch people early on. Although she didn't mean it herself, she just questioned the weird behavior of the world government. Probably, it's because of that man's existence. Of course Robin also understood that Karina didn't mean that. After thinking for a while, the face of Aokiji appeared in her mind, the nightmare that often appeared in her sleep. She has been living in the shadow of that period until the appearance of Xia Luo brought about a change in her. In fact, she also noticed that Aokiji had always been paying attention to her, but she only had a vague feeling that this had something to do with her friend Sashin. That man? The women asked in confusion. Well, it's the Aokiji Admiral Kuzan I met in Demon Valley Town. Robin spoke slowly, as time and the improvement in strength over the past 2 years had dispelled some of her fear of Aokiji. Now she can tell the other person's name without changing her face. In the past, this was a name she would not speak. Ah, that very frivolous, very lazy, uncle. Karina also recalled the scene when she first met Aokiji 2 years ago. At that time, the other person gave her a strong sense of oppression. Even Xia Luo failed to defeat the opponent in the end, and finally relied on Lionfruit's ability to escape and join them. Then a picture that looked like a child's doodles appeared in Karina's mind. Young Robin is crying, or trying to escape from bounty hunters, struggling to survive all over the world, and Aokiji is like a pervert uncle, silently watching Robin from a corner, without being a high-level person. When it comes to hunting down Robin, Aokiji will use it as a stumbling block to prevent others from chasing Robin. In the end, Robin slowly grows up under the other person's prying eyes, close double-angle bracket. When the mental picture ended, Karina had black lines all over her head, and her eyes revealed a feeling of disgust. Rua, this uncle is so disgusting. Karina's expression was a little speechless, and she silently labeled Aokiji a pervert uncle in her heart. A question mark popped up on Robin's head. It was obviously unclear that Karina had imagined a TV drama in a very short period of time. If she knew, she would definitely laugh or cry. No, I think it may have nothing to do with Aokiji. At this moment, Xia slowly opened his mouth and said. The girls asked, does Xia Luo know the inside story? The 5 old guys from world government have always been like this, in order not to cause others to pay attention, so I have always acted in a low-key manner, and I will not arrest him if I can. I will only deal with him when he is caught. Although Xia Luo doesn't quite understand the brain circuits of these 5 old guys, the other party has always been like this. Let everyone grow and wait until the protagonists have grown beyond expectations before taking action to stop them. This is true for both Luffy and Robin. Even though the D family knew that it was a huge threat to IM, they still allowed each other to grow. It wasn't until Luffy grew to the level of the 5 emperors that Robin really might uncover the truth about the blank 800 years of history before taking action himself. Once, after learning the rebirth location of the Nika fruit and obtaining the Nika fruit, these old guys did not send Marine Admiral or personally escort them because they felt that it was too ostentatious. It would definitely attract the attention of the pirates on the sea and snatch the Nika fruit, so they gave this crucial Nika fruit to Fozzie Fletcher, who was still a newcomer to CP9 at the time. If Fozzie Fletcher, who was still a rookie at the time, was asked to escort the fruit, it would never attract anyone's attention. As a result, the fruit was snatched away by the red-haired Shanks. In the end, in order to solve the trouble caused by the Nika, good money, good fruit in the future, 5 elders chose not to touch the then young red-haired Shanks, but instead. Fozzie Fu was imprisoned and beaten, thus solving the problem of the Nika fruit. In the end, the rubber fruit came into Luffy's hands by accident, and it grew all the way to Nika fruit to eat. Huh? In order not to attract other people's attention, are you just letting your enemies grow? Karina scratched her head and couldn't figure out what kind of brain circuit this was. She thought of Xia Luo's speechless expression just now. Suddenly, the 5 elders, the highest authority in the world government, had some doubts. Has the world really been ruled by people with this kind of intelligence for hundreds of years? How did they do it? Haha, no matter how you say it, it's too outrageous. You are joking, right? Are you joking? Nami laughed out loud, then chuckled and said. But seeing Xia Luo's serious expression, even the smile behind him was a little forced, and then gradually disappeared. Nami covered her forehead, which was covered with black lines. She felt deeply ashamed that a person with such an IQ had ruled the world for hundreds of years. The 5 elders in the Holy Land Marijoy sneezed simultaneously. Before they knew it, the girls on Xia Luo's ship had even changed their title of 5 elders, and now they became the 5 elders. Chapter 95 Perona's transformation. Wow, the sound of waves in the sea is constant. The climate in New World is really changeable, but it also allows me to see scenery I have never seen before. On the deck, Nami leaned on Xia Luo's arms and spoke slowly. Flying in the sky for a long time is also very boring and lacks the sense of adventure. So Nami proposed to sail on the sea and feel the climate of the New World. After all, she is the woman who wants to draw the sea map of the world. How can one feel the majesty of the sea by flying in the sky? So with the unanimous consent of the girls, the Longyu returned to the sea. Anyway, Xia Luo is not in a hurry. It will be a long time before signing in Punk Hazard, and he may still need to stay in Punk Hazard for a while. Haha, New World not only has a weird climate, but even the islands are very magical. There are countless islands like the Boeing Islands that are made of food. You will see these magical scenes in the future. Xia Luo rubbed Nami's hair affectionately and said, "This situation has become a daily routine." Xia Luo often accompanies Nami to the deck to watch the sea and observe the weather. "You hit me." Nami glanced at him angrily. Although this man was powerful, he thought about this kind of thing all day long, even watching the sea with her. "Hey, I think the weather is quite hot. Why don't we go back and take a shower to cool down first?" Xia Luo laughed strangely, but she was not embarrassed at all. After 2 years, Nami has grown very well. "No, if you want to wash it, you can wash it yourself. I also want to enjoy the sea breeze. If you have anything to do, we'll talk about it tonight." Nami pushed him away helplessly, and then sat alone on the beach chair on the deck. This was specially made for the crew to rest and watch the sea. The large parasol above their heads could also avoid direct sunlight. It has to be said that the entertainment facilities and enjoyment facilities on the Longyu are very complete, and there is almost nothing missing. Seeing that Nami was not going to come with him, Xia Luo also shrugged. Was he trying to cool down? If he didn't want to have the main course, what's the point? So he stayed and chatted with Nami. "Xia Luo, come and take a look." Suddenly, Karina walked out of the cabin with a mysterious smile on her face and shouted to Xia Luo. "Karina, what kind of dark dish did you come up with again? I won't eat it this time." Karina's sudden appearance aroused Xia Luo's curiosity. After seeing the other party's mysterious smile, her face fell. Although these women have already reached the level of super chefs, it is hard to find anything that is not delicious. But they who are brave enough to innovate will still come up with some weird things from time to time. In the end, these finished products will be deceived by Karina and eaten by Xia Luo. Although Xia Luo has long noticed that these things are not edible, but who made him dote on Karina so much? "So I tried them all, and the results were obvious, so every night after eating these dark dishes, I would punish Karina severely and let her try some of Xia Luo's special dishes." "That's not it. Come here quickly. I have a surprise for you to see." "Surprise? Just don't be shocked." Seeing the other parties hurry, Xia Luo lazily stood up from the beach chair. "What a scare, you'll know when you come here, hurry up." Seeing Xia Luo's laziness, Karina also went over to help him and pushed his back towards the cabin. Okay, I will leave by myself." This move also aroused Nami's curiosity. She took off her sunglasses and placed them on the coffee table nearby, and then followed her. "Don't open your eyes, you can't look until I finish counting down." In the lobby of the cabin, Xia Luo was sitting on the sofa, and Carly caught his eyes behind him. "I know, really, why is it so mysterious?" After hearing this, Xia Luo was also helpless. Kaido. What's the use of closing his eyes? He has observation Haki. Although he can't really see, he can still perceive some things. Through observation Haki's perception, there were several familiar auras standing in front of him, all of whom were members of the ship. With so many people coming, and they still want to surprise me, they don't want to do what I've always wanted to do, right? No, Robin is here too. She said she won't agree to my move until the task she assigned is completed. So what exactly is going on? With a trace of curiosity and expectation, Karina opened the door at 321 when she was counting down. Zhang, how cute. Karina loosened her grip on the other person's eyes, then showed a big smile, showing off her masterpiece. What caught Xia Luo's eyes was Perona's somewhat shy figure, CEBG. In Xia Luo's eyes, Perona has always been a beautiful girl sealed by a supernatural and cute style. From the clothes he wore 2 years after watching the anime, you can see his proud figure and beautiful face. After throwing away the clothes that looked like a child's, he went straight to a makeover. The person standing in front of him now was dressed carefully and changed into a red gothic dress, which highlighted her proud figure. The small skirt on the front also has some transparent lace, and she wears a small top hat. The previous twin ponytails have also been turned into curly hair, which fits her current temperament very well. It's a complete 180-degree change from the previous style of the little princess Phantom. Xia Luo's jaw dropped to the ground when she saw it. The contrast after the style change was so strong. The cute little princess now looks like a cute but mature aristocratic lady, losing her previous youthfulness. Are you scared? We were completely shocked just now. We didn't expect Perona to be so cute after changing her clothes. This is the dress carefully selected by Sister Robin and I. Karina said with a proud look on her face. On the other hand, Perona's expression became more and more shy. I was really shocked. It's so beautiful, Perona. Xia Luo, the LSP, is of course very satisfied with Perona's new appearance, and he did not hesitate to praise it with a thumbs up. Really? Really? Perona, who had been treated as a puppet by Robin and Karina for a long time, was very shy for some reason when she came to the stage. After receiving Xia Luo's praise, his face became even more blushing, but he still asked with great anticipation. Of course it's true. You look super beautiful now. Xia Luo nodded vigorously. The best proof is that his LSP detector has reacted. Thank you. Thank you. Perona lowered her shy little head. For some reason, after receiving praise from Xia Luo, Perona felt a little happy. As she moved, the pink Roman curls behind her also jumped a few times. I have to say that this hairstyle really suits Perona. With light makeup on her face and lipstick on her lips, she completely became a real little princess. Hey, how are you? Do you feel excited? Looking at Xia Luo, who was staring at Perona intently, Karina smiled playfully and said, Isn't it natural? Who wouldn't like such a cute Perona-chan? I'm so excited. There was no taboo, Xia Luo said very frankly. Lying about one's XP is a heinous crime. He despises this kind of person the most. In response, Perona's shy little head lowered even further, wishing she could bury her head in the giant panda that became even bigger after changing clothes. This action of hers made her current dark princess style look even more gigantic. The contrast is simply charming. He, Captain Xia Luo, although Perona is really cute, you should pay more attention. Robin on the side covered his mouth and laughed softly. Pointing to a certain part of his body, it was Xia Luo's LSP sensor. This is the affirmation from the captain. Xia Luo didn't care at all and gave Robin a thumbs up. I said, Captain, can you pay a little more attention? If you can't control it, I can also help you control it by force. Robin still kept a smile on his face, but there was a black air around his body that was visible even to the naked eye. Okay, Captain Pervert, please stop for a moment. Didn't you just say it's very hot? Then go take a bath and calm down. Nami covered her forehead helplessly. Looking at Xia Luo's gaffe, she grabbed his clothes and walked towards the bathroom. Sigh, Captain Xia Luo has really become less and less able to restrain himself recently. Perona, you have to be careful in the future. Looking at Xia Luo's back being pulled away by Nami, Robin gently stroked his cheek and said with a worried look on his face. What should I be careful about? Perona raised her head, showed doubts in her eyes, and said. Seeing her innocent look, Robin also sighed deeply, and she really had a new understanding of Perona. Sooner or later, Xia Luo will eat Perona to pieces like this. No, it's nothing. Robin shook his head and said nothing more. Wow, it's so refreshing. Xia Luo walked out of the bathroom. Under the service of Nami and the two divine maids, he took a refreshing cold bath and his anger dissipated a lot. But he still felt full of energy, so he came to the training room and started practicing every day. No matter how strong he became, Xia Luo still did not forget to train every day. If he stopped training any day, even he would feel uncomfortable. It is precisely because of how Xia Luo rolls that she becomes so strong. The next day, oh, it's finally here, Punk Hazard. Xia Luo was on the deck and saw the outline of Punk Hazard Island in the distance, and there are huge ships around the island. Is that Punk Hazard? It looks ominous. Nami looked at the island from a distance, looking at the purple airflow gathering over the island, and said with a solemn expression. It's just some poison gas, but the guy inside is quite interesting, and he is also one of my goals this time. Xia Luo shrugged and smiled. This island contains a lot of leftover materials from Vegapunk experiments, and the poisonous gas released by Geisa makes this island look like a ghost island without any human habitation. Target. Nami also thought of the scientific research talents that Xia Luo mentioned before, and she really couldn't think of anyone who could survive in such an environment. A small theater also appeared in her mind. A guy with dark green skin who looked like Frankenstein, with a weird appearance, and traces of modification on his face, subsequently created many weird creatures on the island. The moment Nami walked onto the island, countless monsters emerged from corners and surrounded her. Hey, it's so scary, Xia Luo, I don't want to go to the island anymore. The thought stopped abruptly, and Nami threw herself into Xia Luo's arms in fear, with tears in her eyes. He said tremblingly with some tears, even if the strength is strong. Nami is still afraid of these supernatural things as always. This time she was frightened by what she imagined. If Robin knew what she was thinking about, she would probably be eager to try it. Xia Luo's head was full of questions. What's going on? She was fine just now, but now she's afraid that it will be like this. With your current strength, you shouldn't be afraid of Geisa. On the contrary, the other party should be afraid of you. Of course, Xia Luo didn't know the little theater that Nami had just imagined, so he could only pat her back comfortingly. Don't be afraid, I will protect you no matter what happens, don't worry. Under Xia Luo's comfort, Nami slowly returned to her normal state. After saying what he was thinking, Xia Luo and the other girls laughed. The dignified navigators of the new sky pirates are actually so afraid of ghosts and monsters. Even before they even go up there, they are already too scared to land on the island. This doesn't look like Nami's usual appearance. On the other hand, Perona on the side listened to the little story that Nami made up in her head. The body trembled unconsciously. Although Perona has been dealing with zombies on the ship all year round, and she also has ghost-type abilities such as the Ling Ling fruit, she knows that those are the fruit abilities of Lord Moria, whom she respects. She is actually an out-and-out coward and is very afraid of bugs. After hearing Nami's description of the real monsters, not only would they be put into a pot, stewed and eaten after catching her, but they would also be skinned and cramped. She was frightened to death. Xia Luo also spotted Perona, who was trembling slightly after listening to the story. Then he pulled her over and comforted her. "Don't worry, no matter if they are monsters or demons, if they dared to show up, I will knock them all down." Xia Luo stroked her hair. Perona finally recovered and raised her head, with a beautiful face, a trace of tears in the corners of her eyes, and a small mouth that was almost twisted into a wavy shape due to fear. "Thank you, Captain Xia Luo." Perona sucked in the snot flowing out of her nose. Her pitiful appearance made people look very distressed. "How cute." Xia Luo was instantly struck by Perona's appearance. The hand holding the other person's hand couldn't help but tighten, allowing Perona to get closer. Perona was also holding on to Xia Luo's clothes tightly. Chapter 96 incorporates the Golden Lion Fleet, soon. The Longyu has arrived near Punk Hazard. The large fleet stationed nearby had already noticed Xia Luo's arrival from a distance, and they all moved closer. After the ship stopped, several figures from several nearby large ships ejected instantly, and the target was Xia Luo's Longyu. Several dark figures instantly appeared in front of Xia Luo, and then they all knelt down on one knee. "Young Master Xia Luo, we finally found you." Several people all had tears in their eyes and shouted loudly. In an instant, all the pirates on the other ships shouted loudly, "Young Master Xia Luo, young Master Xia Luo." Even Captain Xia Luo's daughters were surprised by this battle. Is there actually so many old members of Golden Lion? This is amazing. Nami secretly leaned into Xia Luo's ear and asked. "Well, after all, Mr. Shiki was once a famous pirate in the sea. In the old days, only Whitebeard and Pirate King Roger could compare with him. In the old days, he could be said to be one of the three kings." Xia Luo also explained the reason to Nami. "You know, Golden Lion Shiki was fighting Roger in the Edwall Sea battle. He had dozens of large sailing ships and countless powerful pirates under his banner. If it weren't for the natural disaster at that time, it's not certain whether Roger could become the Pirate King." At this time, a guy dressed strangely like Xiao Dian came out. He danced and gestured to Xia Luo, using poor gestures to express his meaning. The other person's shoes made a popping sound, like someone farting. After he finished his dancing expression, he immediately lay down at Xia Luo's feet and cried bitterly. Xia Luo's face was solemn, and after taking a deep breath, he said, "Don't worry, as long as I'm here from now on, no matter who comes, I will twist his neck off with my own hands. As for the other betrayers, well, everyone has their own ambitions. If they think they can develop better, then let them go, but if they stand in my way, I will destroy them without hesitation." Xia Luo's cold voice came out, instantly shocking all the pirates present. At this moment, the old members of Golden Lion were all shocked by Xia Luo's slightly leaked information. Impressed. It took a while before he came back to his senses. "Great. With young Master Xia Luo here in the future, guys like Kaido won't dare to provoke us easily." A pirate leader shed tears of emotion, breathed a sigh of relief, and said, "By the way, how did young Master Xia Luo know the current situation of the large fleet? Obviously there is no internal news leaked out." After the pirate leader vented his grievances, he asked belatedly. Xia Luo pointed to Indigo on the ground, as if he didn't know everything from him just now. Do you understand?" In an instant, the girls on the boat, the pirates, including Indigo himself, all screamed in surprise. In particular, many of them showed facial expressions with bulging eyes, which made Xia Luo amazed. As expected of the pirate world, almost everyone has mastered facial expressions. "What? Indigo, can you talk?" After Indigo spoke out, the pirate leaders were even more shocked and asked immediately. However, the other party had returned to his usual dancing state. They had not heard Indigo speak for so long on the boat, which shocked them all. "Xia Luo, how do you know what this guy just said?" Nami scratched his head, unable to connect Indigo's actions just now with Xia Luo's words. "Because the other party's movement expression is really terrible. I just have a rough idea of what it means. The news of Mr. Shiki's death has spread throughout the world. There will definitely be some people who will refuse to accept it and choose to leave. Without Mr. Shiki's protection, the original territory will also be invaded by others. After contacting me, I can guess it." Xia Luo shrugged and said that it was impossible for him to fully understand what Indigo meant. He could only sense the other party's mood through observation Haki, which was almost S-level, and combined a series of obtained intelligence to figure out what the other party wanted to express. I didn't realize you were so smart." Nami looked in disbelief. In fact, the impression of Xia Luo and the usual LSP is a bit different. It doesn't mean that Xia Luo doesn't show wisdom, it's just that there is less of it. "Lucci, how many days have you been here?" Then Xia Luo asked Lucci, who had been kneeling beside him for a long time. "Captain Xia Luo, this is our second day in Punk Hazard." Lucci still looked calm and respectful. "Kaido. The next day? Did anything happen on the island?" or was there any guy dressed strangely? Xia Luo lowered his head and thought for a moment, then asked again. No, although this is an island belonging to the world government, it was filled with highly toxic substances a year ago, and Marine also abandoned it. What kind of life is there on the island now? We only found a huge red dragon wandering the land. Lu Qi thought about the situation on the island in the past 2 days, and then told all the news he knew. Geisa didn't send anyone out. Is it because there were too many people like Luki, so he didn't dare to show up? Or maybe he recognized that these ships belong to the Golden Lion Force's ships? Xia Luo rubbed her chin and thought secretly in her heart. Sir Xia Luo, what tasks are we going to perform next? Please give us the order. Lu Qi knew that Xia Luo must have his own purpose in choosing the location here, otherwise why would he specifically choose the islands controlled by the 10 world governments? Well, don't worry. You guys wait for a while. I have a long-term task for you later. Xia Luo pressed her hand to signal him to calm down. For this island, his plan is to move it back to his own territory, so that it will be much more convenient to sign in and do subsequent things. There is a research base built here by Marine for Vegapunk, and the facilities can be said to be very complete. Although the poisonous gas spread all over the island by Gai Sakurong turned it into a dead island. But if you threaten the opponent, you can still remove the poisonous gas from the island. This can be regarded as an unexpected asset. I saw Xia Luo jumping to other boats, and then touching each boat. Then he jumped to the island and touched the land of Punk Hazard with his palms. The fruit ability is activated. The entire island began to shake, accompanied by a tsunami and the sound of falling boulders. The sea water is like a hungry tiger, constantly rushing towards the hollow below the island. Punk Hazard and all the ships slowly floated up. Wow, this is really Lord Golden Lion's ability. It's really great to see Lord Golden Lion's ability in my lifetime. The pirates standing on the boat cried bitterly and shouted with moved tears. Road. At the same time, this movement also shocked Gai Sakulin, who was hiding in the laboratory. What happened? An earthquake, an earthquake. Gai Sakurong, who was in the internal laboratory of Punk Hazard, was running back and forth in panic. If it was really a natural disaster and earthquake that sank the island, then all his experimental data for so long would be in vain. Fortunately, the earthquake did not last long. After a while, he calmed down, and Geisa also breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily it was just a small shock, otherwise it would have been terrible. Guy wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said to himself in a relaxed tone. The tense spirit relaxed instantly, and then he showed a happy smile, but with Guy's face, the relaxed smile was like a ghost face. It is really a face that is very suitable for facial expressions. But how could an earthquake suddenly occur on the island? This is unscientific. It couldn't have been done by those guys outside, right? Hey, have they already arrived on the island? As if Geisa suddenly remembered something, he lowered his head and thought for a moment, and then exclaimed. Then he hurried to a monitoring room. Because the island is filled with poisonous gas, video phone bugs cannot survive inside, so Geisa can only prevent hidden phone bugs on the edge of the island to monitor who will come to the island. Just yesterday, he discovered a group of unknown pirates docked near Punk Hazard. If it were normal times, Geisa would have sent out his recovery team to capture these pirates for testing. But this time it was different. The number of this group of pirates was too large, and they could not be dealt with by their own recovery troops alone. The most fearful thing is that there may be some powerful pirates hidden in these pirate groups. If his location on this island is exposed, he may be reported to the police. So Geisa chose to keep quiet and didn't dare to make any movement in the past 2 days. Instead, he silently conducted experiments in the laboratory and occasionally observed the pirates outside. Now, Geisa is checking the images transmitted by the videophone bug as usual. What the hell is going on? After seeing the scene outside, Guy's expression instantly turned into beady eyes, his nose also flowed out, and he looked a little dumbfounded. Just now, he saw the scene outside Punk Hazard moving. An island could actually see a moving scene. When he realized what the problem was, he slowly opened his mouth wide and his eyes almost popped out, with a look of shock on his face. Wait, what's going on? The island is actually flying. Geisa felt like he was about to collapse. Why were there so many problems happening one after another? The emergency button was pressed immediately, and the sound of emergency notifications resounded throughout the laboratory. This also alarmed Monet, who was writing a research document report, and the vibration that resounded throughout the island just now also alarmed her. Before he understood what was happening, Geisa's emergency notification rang. Monet instinctively felt that something bad had happened, and then quickly stood up and walked towards the direction of the laboratory. By the time she arrived at the laboratory, Geisa had already assembled the recovery team and then sent them all out to inspect the situation on the island. Lord Geisa, what happened to the earthquake just now? Did an intruder break in? Monet immediately asked Geisa. She just missed what Geisa said when he ordered the soldiers just now, and now she is also confused. Monet. You came just in time. The island suddenly moved for some reason and is now heading towards the calm belt. You should go out and check the situation. I suspect this was done by the group of pirates outside yesterday. Seeing Monet's arrival, Geisa immediately said with great joy. Monet is not only his right-hand man in experiments, but also the possessor of Logia Devil Fruit himself. Now is the time when she is needed, so it would be perfect to send Monet to help him explore the situation outside. Okay, Lord Geisa. Monet had doubts in his heart. How could the island move on its own? This island was not on the body of some giant turtle. Then there is only one possibility that can accomplish this kind of thing. Devil fruits, Esper? Monet murmured to himself. When she walked out of the laboratory hidden among the mountains, standing on the mountainside, she was directly shocked by the scenery outside. The island is not only really moving, but also flying. The horizon in the field of vision is constantly getting closer and changing, and the field of view from the mountain is also much higher than usual. Island. It's floating. Could it be? Monet suddenly felt bad. Unlike Geisa, who is completely an otaku, Monet often pays attention to external news. As it happens, a big news that shocked the world was reported a few days ago. The successor of the legendary great pirate Golden Lion Haki caused a scene in the Sabodi archipelago. After killing 2 celestial dragons, he also stole a female celestial dragons. The most shocking thing is that this Golden Lion too has reached the Admiral level after hiding for 2 years, and he was able to escape unscathed after 10 fierce battles with the Admiral. And he killed 5 members of CPO, which all proved the strength of the other party. Monet knew in his heart that if the person who came was really a famous guy, his own strength would not be his opponent at all. Guy's methods may not be effective against such a big pirate. Damn it, he is so unlucky. Is this Golden Lion too a robber? He just randomly snatched away the islands here when he arrived in the New World, or is Gaisa's position actually exposed? Is his goal to be Gaisa? No matter what the reason is, it is very detrimental to the current situation. There is no advantage at all in negotiating with such a ferocious big pirate. Monet's little face darkened, and he gritted his teeth and said. At this time, she was in a very bad mood and clenched her little hands. He has not yet reached the 2-year period and has not commissioned Luo to transform himself into a free bird, so he still has these flexible limbs. What should I do? Do I need to inform the young master? Monet took out a phone bug from his pocket, but hesitated whether to report the matter here to Doflamingo. Geisa is involved in a lot of Doflamingo's business, and is also related to Kaido, which can be said to be very important. On the other hand, I was afraid that Xia Luo might have fallen in love with this island and rashly informing the young master would get him into trouble. While she was still thinking about what to do, a voice suddenly reached her ears. Yui, it turns out it's here. Fortunately, observation Haki can sense it, otherwise it would have taken a while to find it. The visitor was Xia Luo, who was looking for Geisa's laboratory on the island. Now this island has not turned into Ice and Fire Island due to the battle between Aokiji and Akainu. Xia Luo only vaguely remembered that the location of the laboratory seemed to be among the snowy mountains, but there are no snowy mountains here now, so she could only blindly explore the mountains here. So he could only release observation Haki to cover the island and explore the island's vitality. It happened that Monet walked out of the laboratory and asked him to explore the location here. You. Daughter Golden Lion 2 Xia Luo. Monet's voice was a little trembling, she didn't expect it to be what she thought. After she heard the location of the voice, she immediately raised her head and saw that it was Xia Luo who came into view. Things really took a turn for the worst. When Xia Luo arrived, she understood that the other party's purpose must be Geisa, and she was also looking for him on the island. Taking down Punk Hazard was certainly not an unintentional move. What should I do now? Monet's face was gloomy, and her back molars were almost broken by her bite. Hey, this beautiful young lady, don't you look so ugly? I don't eat people, so I just want to laugh. Seeing that Monet's brows were almost turning into a W, Xia Luo joked playfully. He also recognized who the beautiful woman in front of him was. Geisa's secretary, Doflamingo's undercover, and the snowgirl Monet. Now Monet's hands and feet are still in normal condition. She is wearing a blue and white patterned hip skirt, looking like a capable female secretary. She has a somewhat similar temperament to Khalifa, but the other person is more. That kind of warm big sister temperament. Lord Xia Luo was joking. I wonder why Lord Xia Luo came here. This island is just a dead island now. There are only some homeless pirates and some children hiding here, which should not be as small as what Master Xia Luo needs. Chapter 97 Mr. Xia Luo's date invitation. Monet showed a forced smile. Normally, she would have been able to handle this kind of teasing calmly. But now she was facing the most ferocious pirate in the past 800 years. No matter how casual the other party was, she would not dare to be more presumptuous. Moreover, she always felt that Xia Luo looked at her in a wrong way, as if he was looking at a toy, which made her nerves even tighter. No, a beautiful girl like you is what I need, isn't it? Do you want to have a drink together? Xia Luo shook her head and objected, then slowly landed next to Monet, then naturally held her arms around the other person's waist and said playfully. At the same time, Xia Luo's face was getting closer and closer, her eyes looking directly into Mona's eyes. Now Monet's height is not too short. Before he put on the bird legs, he was about 1.8 meters tall, just reaching Xia Luo's shoulders. As for Monet, when Xia Luo's hand hugged her, his body couldn't help but tremble. Then there is this direct look in her eyes, as if she can see through her inner thoughts. Era, Is this a date invitation from Mr. Xia Luo? Monet feels really happy. Monet chose to smile, his eyes narrowed and he no longer looked directly into Xia Luo's breathtaking eyes, and his tone became lighter to prevent himself from leaking any flaws. He also put his palms against Xia Luo's chest to prevent himself from getting too close. Monet, the name is very nice, and the voice is also very nice. Xia Luo sniffed the fragrance on the other person's hair, showing a hint of intoxication, and at the same time felt the soft waist of the other person. Thank you Mr. Xia Luo for your compliment. Monet looked shy and covered his cheeks with his hands. 24/7. Makes her look a bit cute. This sexy big sister type can be very deadly once she looks cute. What do you mean, do you agree? Seeing Monet's hands leave his chest, Xia Luo hugged Lu harder, and the giant hit him. Sorry, Mr. Xia Luo, Monet still has to take care of the children's lives, I'm afraid. I'm afraid I don't have time to accompany Mr. Xia Luo on a date, I'm really sorry. Monet no longer resisted, put his hands on Xia Luo's chest, leaned his head on Xia Luo's shoulders, and said with a shy look, while his eyes flashed with light. With such a close distance and no defense, if he took action directly, would he be killed in one blow? Monet mentally evaluated the feasibility of the plan. This Xia Luo is indeed as rumored, a complete LSP, as long as she is a beautiful woman, she can attract the other party. This gave her a glimmer of hope. Monet still has a little confidence in his appearance. That's really a pity. I thought I could have a drink with Monet and deepen our relationship. Xia Luo looked very artificial, with a look of disappointment, and even the color of her pupils became much darker. Kizaru once again had to exclaim, Xia Luo is the real actor, he is just an acting ape. After Monet takes care of the children, he will have time to strengthen his relationship with Mr. Xia Luo. Now, can Mr. Xia Luo put down the island? If the island flew into the calm belt, Monet would not have the strength to protect the children in an area full of sea kings. Seeing Xia Luo's disappointed look, Monet immediately comforted her. At the same time, he also put forward his own requirements. The top priority now was to stabilize Xia Luo and make the opponent give up Punk Hazard. For the sake of the young master's plan, even if he sacrifices his life, Xia Luo cannot let Xia Luo ruin the young master's plan. The young master trusts himself so much that Monet cannot let him down, Monet thought secretly in his heart. 7 right pointing arrow Y. After hearing this, he pretended to consider it. No. In the expectant eyes of the other party, Xia Luo refused and showed a big smile at the same time. Why, is it Monet who made Master Xia Luo angry? Can you wait until Monet takes care of the children and come to accompany Master Xia Luo? Please be kind to Master Xia Luo. Seeing Xia Luo's hesitation, and just when he was about to agree, he took a sudden turn. Even Monet couldn't help but feel a little anxious, and then asked. It has nothing to do with Monet-chan. I'm here to see Guy. Can Monet-chan take me to his place to meet Guy Koru? Xia Luo stopped teasing Monet and directly stated her purpose. How could I be easily deceived by Monet and leave with just a few words? Caesar wants to be taken away, and so does Monet. He knows. It turns out that he knows Geisa is on this island. Damn it, I knew it was not easy to deal with a man of this level. How could he be just a simple LSP like the rumors? There must be some purpose in coming here. Monet's little face buried in Xia Luo's shoulder became a little gloomy, and at the same time, his brain was thinking rapidly. What should we do? What should we do? If Geisa is kidnapped by Xia Luo, then the cooperation between the young master and Kaido. What should we do if the young master is revenged by Kaido? No, at this point, I can only give it a try. Monet seemed to have made up his mind, with a firm look on his face. Even if he died, he would stop Xia Luo from finding Geisa. At the same time, her little hand touching Xia Luo's heart was secretly accumulating elemental power. She wanted to blast the cold air of snow fruit into Xia Luo's body in one go, and then freeze his heart. But there is only one chance, so she seems very nervous now. If I were you, I wouldn't act rashly. Xia Luo's voice suddenly reached her ears. Monet's movements suddenly froze, and at the same time the ice power secretly accumulated in his hands dissipated. At this time, Monet's heart was already cold, and his assassination plan had been exposed before it even started. Xia Luo didn't need to say much about what she was going to face next. She had already figured out a bunch of consequences in her own mind. Yeah, he's a good boy. Xia Luo stroked Monet's hair with her other hand and whispered in her ear. Monet's heart was also feeling cold, and Xia Luo's big hand on her head was like a devil's claw, making her dare not move at all. But then Xia Luo's words made her raise her head directly, and then looked at the man closely. Although I won't kill you directly if you take action, the fate of Doflamingo may not be so good. Xia Luo narrowed her eyes and said with a bright smile. This is a secret that even Geisa never knew. Monet is Doflamingo. The undercover agent placed next to him, just to be able to obtain information about Geisa all the time. How? How did you know? Monet had a shocked look on his face and said in disbelief. Except for the young master and her companions in the Don Quixote family, no one knew that she was an undercover agent. Does this man have the superpower to see into people's hearts? or is it that someone in the family betrayed the young master? Impossible. Impossible. Everyone in the family is like their own relative, there is no way they would betray the young master. But where did Xia Luo get the information that she was an undercover agent? Monet's thoughts have been completely messed up, and he is currently thinking wildly. He didn't even notice Xia Luo holding her butt and walking to the laboratory door. It wasn't until Xia Luo punched open the hidden laboratory door that the loud noise woke up Monet. Wait, you can't touch Gaisa. He is the young master's partner and has a relationship with 4 emperors Kaido. You don't want to start a war with a sea emperor just after arriving in New World, do you? Monet shouted anxiously. At this point, the matter can no longer be concealed, although I don't know where Xia Luo got the information. But now we can only use Kaido's skin to stop Xia Luo from moving forward. Kaido, you don't think you can threaten me by moving that guy out, do you? If Kaido is brave enough, let him try. Xia Luo showed a disdainful and somewhat arrogant smile. Kaido does not have that much top-notch combat support. Xia Luo, who has taken over Golden Lion's old unit, is now no longer weaker than Kaido's troops. If the other party dares to attack Xia Luo alone, they have to consider whether their own strength is enough. Otherwise, Xia Luo may suffer endless revenge from Shen Dao, and may even take Wano Kuni away without him noticing. It seemed that he really didn't even have time to cry. Sea stone, which is abundant in Wano Kuni, accounts for more than half of Kaido's economic source. Therefore, Xia Luo concluded that Kaido would never declare war on him easily. At most, he would only use Doflamingo to anger him. After all, he was working with Doflamingo alone, so just let Doflamingo worry about it alone. If he can't get the artificial devil fruit that Kaido needs, then he will kill Doflamingo, and then find a way to get Gaisa back to study the artificial devil fruit. After all, the key to artificial devil fruit, SAD, can only be produced by Gaisa. His dream of his own devil fruit army is currently only achieved by Gaisa. As for Vegapunk, if it weren't for the fact that he couldn't be found, Kaido might have tried to intercept it. Hateful. Back to Monet, now Monet can only curse secretly in his heart. Seeing that even moving out of Kaido failed to stop Xia Luo's progress, the guards who appeared on the road to protect the laboratory almost fell to the ground after being stared at by Xia Luo. In desperation, Monet could only initiate the final plan. She had no choice now. Young master, please forgive me for my incompetence. Monet closed his eyes tightly and lamented silently in his heart. Now, even if she dies, she must complete the mission entrusted by the young master. The rich elemental power gathered in her body, and she had turned into frost at this moment. Xia Luo's expression was complicated, feeling a difficult situation for the first time. The thing he is least afraid of is powerful people, but for the woman he wants, a woman who is not afraid of life and death, there is nothing he can do with her. Are you going to kill him? This is the worst possible plan? When he was watching One Piece in his previous life, he always liked Monet's loyal character. Xia Luo also felt very sorry for her death. I really don't know where Doflamingo found so many loyal family members. Now, when he faced it, he felt the trouble of this emotion. This is also the first time he has felt this kind of emotion from other people in the pirate world. In order to help the people he is loyal to and trusts, he is willing to even die. In the world of pirates, there are many people like this. They don't care about their own life and death for the sake of others, and they will fight until the last moment even if they try their best. Although basically everyone on his ship would do that for him. But Nami and the others have always been well protected by Xia Luo and have never faced that kind of life or death situation. This has always been considered by Xia Luo as her own responsibility. So Nami and the others also lived very happily and willingly. Dedicate everything to Xia Luo. Goodbye, young master, I believe that you are the man who will become the pirate king. Monet's eyes flashed with tears, his expression was relieved, and he smiled and said. Ever since Logia learned it, he has actually hidden a powerful ultimate move. But this will also make Logia users unable to avoid harmful moves. Logia users generally will not choose to use this move unless they are at a dead end. Its move is called Elemental Explosion. Gathering the power of the whole body and the elements of nature, using his own body as the fuse, triggering an explosion large enough to level the entire island. It can also instantly change the climate of an island for a period of time. If you are an awakened Logia fruit user, this 0.3 move is enough to permanently cause the climate of an area to become the same natural climate as its elemental power. Guy Satan is a user with the ability of Logia Devil Fruit. Even though the energy of this move is very huge, it will not harm the opponent's life. Therefore, Monet was very confident to use this move. Although the advanced armament Haki can be immune to the abilities of superpowers, she knows that Xia Luo is definitely not immune to the impact of the explosion of natural power. It's really troublesome. Xia Luo looked helplessly at Monet in her arms, who already had an expression of no regrets about dying. Xia Luo didn't want this woman to die easily, and she was determined to die. It was impossible for him not to take Gaisa away, so there were only 2 choices left before him. Be quiet for a moment, woman. Xia Luo stared into Monet's eyes, his eyes revealing murderous intent, and the aura of Conqueror's Haki simultaneously surged out of his body. Monet's pupils widened, and his body was shocked by the killing intent and Conqueror's Haki. The power of nature that had finally been gathered was slowly dissipating. The elemental body also began to twist uncontrollably, and it was difficult to even maintain a human form. Am I going to be killed? Is this man really going to kill me? Xia Luo's powerful murderous intent and Conqueror's Haki's aura awakened the fear hidden in Monet's body. Being able to face death calmly does not mean that she has no fear of death. And Xia Luo made her face this fear, causing the elemental power she finally gathered to be out of her control and slowly dissipating. Chapter 98. Humble Guy performs facial arts online. Then Xia Luo used the palm covered by armament Haki to tap the back of Monet's head lightly, and the other person fell into a coma. Oh, it's really troublesome. You really can't underestimate the determination of these women in the pirate world. Xia Luo sighed slightly and then put Monet on his shoulders. In short, he planned to take her back first, then put on Seastone's shackles to limit her abilities, and then slowly train her. He usually doesn't really attack women, and the murderous intention just now was just to break up the opponent's moves. Then let's find Xia first and then talk about it. Xia Luo glanced at the bottomless laboratory passage and walked forward. His observation Haki has covered the base and clearly senses Xia's location. Damn it. Who is this man? The soldiers fell down without even seeing any trace of his attack. Is it Conqueror's Haki? In the monitoring room, Guy was shouting angrily. Through the surveillance, he saw who was invading the base, but he had been obsessed with the laboratory and did not watch the news immediately. So I just thought that Xia Luo looked familiar, but I didn't recognize that he was the Golden Lion successor Xia Luo who made a lot of noise 2 years ago. No matter what, no one can stop me until I complete the Kingdom of Death. My poor little assistant, I can only let you die here. Who allowed you to be captured? Xia first scratched his hair frantically, then showed a sinister smile and looked at Xia Luo on the screen with an evil look on his face. His eyes fell on a button. As long as he pressed it lightly, the laboratory would emit a large amount of toxic gas. Monet and Xia Luo, who are not wearing protective equipment, will definitely fall down due to lack of support. By then, they will have a strong body as test material. The more Xia thought about it, the more proud he became, and his expression gradually became arrogant and he started laughing. In just a few seconds, without anyone around, Xia had already completed several changes in facial expressions. Go to hell. I'm so shy. Finally, with a proud laugh, Guy hammered the release button with his hand. Hoo ho ho. At the same time, Xia Luo also felt it. A large amount of green gas began to emit from the passage of the laboratory. He knew without guessing that this must be the work of Xia. Although his body is no longer afraid of this poisonous gas, Monet on his shoulder is in an unconscious state at this time. If she inhales some poisonous gas, even if Guy has an antidote, it is unlikely to cause any harm to her in the future. Xia Luo didn't want anything to go wrong with the trophy he had just rescued. The power of Conqueror's Haki mixed with armament Haki spread out directly, forming an insurmountable protective film near him. At the same time, the speed of advancement was a little faster, and the body had turned into an afterimage and disappeared in place. Where did that guy go? He was still here just now. Xia, who was laughing maniacally, came back to his senses. When he checked the surveillance screen again, the figure of Xia Yao was no longer there. I suddenly felt bad. I opened my mouth in disbelief and kept switching the screen to try to find traces of Xia Luo. Are you looking for me? A sudden voice came from behind him. Nani? Guy's head turned around like a machine. Wow! When he saw Xia Luo appearing in front of the door of the monitoring room, Xia was almost scared out of his mind. He raised his hands, his hair instantly stood on end, his tongue curved out like a wave, and his eyes popped out. Looking at Guy's familiar facial expression, Xia Luo found it very interesting. After all, this is not the style of painting in the two-dimensional world, but the other party can still achieve such a weird expression, which is also a kind of talent. Damn it. Who are you? Are you here to take my life too? Don't expect to succeed so easily. Before Xia Luo could say anything, Xia had already finished talking to himself, and then looked like he was about to take action. Go to hell. Gas gun. Xia spit out a blue linear gas laser cannon, which is somewhat similar to Nami's laser cannon, but does not contain the aura of thunder and lightning. Xia Luo just stretched out her right hand wrapped in armed color to block her body. The blue light drowned Xia Luo's figure, and at the same time a huge explosion occurred. Shame, giggle, giggle, it will be completely reduced to ashes under my gas gun that can melt steel. Shame, giggle, giggle. The field was filled with smoke. Seeing that Xia Luo had just been submerged in his own gas laser cannon, Guy laughed proudly. But after the smoke and dust dispersed, Xia Luo's figure was standing among them. The right hand that was stretched out before had only a faint heat wafting in the palm of the hand. Not to mention people, even Xia Luo's palm didn't break the defense. Nani? Seeing this scene, Xia showed his previous Yanyi expression again and shouted in disbelief. What a noisy guy, can you please be quiet? Xia Luo shook her head helplessly, and then disappeared in a flash. For a guy like this who doesn't listen to others and doesn't let others speak, he always needs to convince people with reason first. Clang clang clang. After a burst of noise, Private Marseille, please forgive my rudeness. Guy, who was bruised and swollen and had several big bumps on his head, knelt on the ground in front of Xia Luo in a very authentic posture. Now he has some understanding of Xia Luo's strength and can easily come in front of him, and every punch contains powerful armament Haki. He was knocked down by him without any chance of fighting back, and the other party looked relaxed and content, obviously using all his strength. In this regard, Xia also felt deeply helpless. If he didn't have the strength, he could only listen to the other party. Very good. Xia Luo nodded with satisfaction. Guy, who was kneeling on the ground, shook his head, and his bruised and swollen appearance disappeared in just a moment. There were only a few scratches on his face, but the big bump on his head was still there. Open black lens bracket 013903224 Filu 183,402,250 close black lens bracket. Now Guy is very nervous. He doesn't know what the purpose of the person in front of him is and why he is here. In addition, his partner Doflamingo has not yet been contacted to come to support. So he chose to stay alive for a while first. After all, he had not yet been able to enjoy the life of glory and wealth that would come when the experiment was completed in the future. My lord, do you have anything you need help from me? As long as I can do it, I will do it without any hesitation. Guy put on a flattering smile, rubbed his little hands constantly, and transformed into Flyman. That's the point. I do have something to ask you for help, but before that, please clear the toxic gases in the laboratory. Xia Luo fanned the air with her hand. Even though the poisonous gas was blocked, she could still smell a faint gas smell, which was very unpleasant. Yes. Yes, my lord. Guy smiled reluctantly, then raised his hands to form a circle in front of his face, and then shouted. Neutralizing gas. A large amount of pink gas floated out from his hands. After blending with the green poisonous gas, a chemical reaction immediately occurred, and then it all dissipated. Sir, I have followed your instructions. Do you think there is anything else I can do for you? Gaisa continued to rub his little hands and looked at Xia Luo with a flattering expression. You can't beat Xia Luo with a fight, so now you can only try your best to please him and let him leave quickly. Well, let's get straight to the point. I plan to set up a laboratory, but I just lack some strong science. Family, I think the level of research and technology is quite good, and I plan to recruit you to join the team. After Xia Luo sniffed the air and found that there was no problem, she felt relieved and then said her invitation straightforwardly. What? It turns out that you heard about my reputation as the world's #1 scientist, so you plan to invite me to join? You're so shy, then you should have said it earlier. Upon hearing this, Guy's expression immediately turned into a proud one, and then he smiled broadly. Clang clang clang. Private Marseille, I was too presumptuous. The next second, the bruised and swollen Gaisa appeared again, returning to the same posture as before. Xia Luo clapped her hands and sat on the chair in front of the control room with her feet on the table, looking very casual. This is in stark contrast to Gaisa's bruised nose and face. What I have here is money and so on. The laboratory on this island can also be reserved for you, and I have also invited 2 scientific geniuses in other fields to do experiments with you. I need a perfect artificial devil fruit. Just like the fruit made by Vegapunk. A devil fruit without any power defects, do you understand? Xia Luo's face became stern, and her voice gradually became colder. Yes, I understand. Gaisa was so frightened by Xia Luo's appearance that he screamed, and then immediately agreed. What Doflamingo and support were all forgotten at this moment. As long as I can continue to experiment, get funding and enjoy a life of prosperity and wealth. No matter who you work for, it is still work, as long as your life is not threatened. This sir, although this is a bit inappropriate, I don't know your reputation yet, so please let me know. Walking in the corridor of the laboratory, Guy followed Xia Luo and said with a sneer on his face. He is still a little baffled even now. I was staying at home doing experiments, but suddenly someone knocked on my door. And until he was defeated, he didn't even know who he was defeated by. Didn't I tell you? My name is Xia Luo, I'm just an unknown little pirate. After hearing Gaisa's words, Xia Luo was stunned for a moment and said with a puzzled look on his face. Doesn't this guy know what he did in Sabodi Archipelago a few days ago? Even if you read the news a little bit, you won't recognize your face. That's it, Master Xia Luo. Please give me more advice in the future. Hearing Xia Luo's name, Gaisa felt a familiar feeling again, but he couldn't think of where he had heard it before, so he could only continue to sneer and rub his little hands in response. Then Guy lowered his head and searched for information about the name Xia Luo in his genius little head. Until walking out of the cave, Xia Luo showed the ability of lion fruit and took Monet and Guy flying. Only then did Gaisa find information about Xia Luo from his dusty memory. You. Who are you? The successor of the legendary Golden Lion, Xia Luo, known as the Second Golden Lion. A super newcomer who had a bounty of more than 600 million 2 years ago. Guy showed a surprised expression and looked at Xia Luo's back in front of him with an expression of disbelief. What's wrong? It's me. What's the problem? Guy's big reaction made Xia Luo even more confused. Is such a big reaction necessary? It has been so many years since I last offered a reward. The current bounty has already risen to more than 3 billion. It seems that Gaisa, an otaku, is still quite behind the times. No, it's nothing. Gyosa hurriedly retracted his surprised expression, turned to Kaido hurriedly, and then lowered his head. No wonder the entire island flew up directly. It turned out to be a user with the power of Piao Piao fruit. Gyosa suddenly remembered that the second female lead of Vinsmoke Judge was kidnapped on Xia Luo's boat. Sun is here. This also shows that Xia Luo and Judge are related. Plus the two top genius scientists in other fields that Xia Luo just mentioned, wouldn't one of them be Judge? Gyosa wanted to ask Xia Luo, but thinking of the other party's devilish state just now, he immediately hesitated. But thinking of Judge's irritating face, Gyosa could only show his incompetent and furious Yan Yi behind Xia Luo. Xia Luo standing in front had a puzzled expression on her face. He felt that there was something wrong with Guy's mind. He was surprised and angry, and his emotions changed so quickly. Arrive. Soon, Xia Luo brought Gyosa to the Longyu. The women and pirate officers on the boat looked at Gyosa behind Xia Luo and Monet on his shoulder with curious expressions. Xia Luo. Who is this woman? Nami stepped forward and asked, taking the unconscious Monet from Xia Luo's hand. It's just a woman I captured. She is an undercover agent of Shichibukai Doflamingo. First put sea stone handcuffs on her. This is Logia's demon fruit power. First. Put her in the room next to Shilulia. Xia Luo said casually that he still had something to deal with, so he could only tell Nami to take the people down first. Ah, I knew it. It turns out that Doflamingo never trusted me and even sent an undercover agent to see me. No wonder I think some of Monet's actions are strange. After listening to what Xia Luo said, Guy's reaction was the biggest. He first pointed at the fainted Monet angrily, then showed his disgust towards Doflamingo, and then stared at Monet with evil eyes. Boss Xia Luo, why don't we kill this woman directly, lest she find an opportunity to notify Doflamingo to cause trouble in the future? Guy walked up to Xia Luo, laughed sinisterly, and then made some suggestions. Don't worry about Monet's affairs. Xia Luo glanced at him and didn't pay much attention. Indigo, Kaya, come here. Xia Luo shouted to the two ship doctors of the old and new flying pirates. Puff 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 puff. Indigo walked slowly to Xia Luo with weird steps, and then started to perform those weird moves again. Indigo, Mr. Shiki told me that you have been working on something called 1Q. Material, right? It just so happens that Guy can make the sad raw material used to produce artificial devil fruit. You and Geysa are working together to study whether IQ can be combined with sad raw materials to create a more powerful and ferocious artificial zone devil fruit. Xia Luo directly explained her purpose to him. After another dance performance, Xia Luo nodded, and then turned to look at Kaya. Kaya, please study with Indigo during this period. He is also a doctor with superb medical skills. I believe you can learn a lot. Yes. Brother Xia Luo, Kaya will definitely help and work hard. Kaya's eyes lit up, and Xia Luo finally assigned her a task. Apart from practicing and studying medicine on the ship, Xia Luo rarely assigned any tasks to Kaya. Now, Kaya feels that she can finally help Xia Luo. When he heard that Xia Luo said that he was a doctor with superb medical skills, Indigo was very embarrassed and did a set of performances, and then said, Thank you for your compliment, Mr. Xia Luo. People. So you can talk, then you should have said it earlier, Geysa turned into a shark tooth and said angrily with an angry look on his face. Indigo didn't pay attention to his roar, but continued to use his performance actions to talk to Geysa. Look, Guy is also a mess, and the veins on his forehead are getting bigger and bigger. What's going on with this guy? 1 and 2 of them look like weirdos, but those little girls look more normal. But because of Xia Luo, Geysa couldn't take action and could only mutter secretly. Chapter 99 What should I do if I meet Shilulia who is picky about food? Xia Luo no longer cared about Geysa's mental state. He continued to turn to look at Reiju. Reiju, give Judge a call. The next experiment requires his strength. Let him come to New World from North Blue as soon as possible to develop. I see. Reiju also nodded with a serious expression, then walked aside and took out a phone to contact his father. Is it really that guy, Judge? I didn't expect you, Captain Xia Luo, to be in contact with that guy. Geysa showed a fearful look, with a trace of anger in his eyes, obviously recalling the time when he worked with G. Yes, Judge's research on blood factors is more comprehensive and comparable to your research on SAD. If you two can join forces, you may not be able to surpass Vegapunk. Wah. What, beyond Vegapunk? Ha 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 ha, I can't tell you either. So good. Geysa said in surprise at first, then showed a shy expression, but it really didn't match his face, and it looked a bit ugly. When at this time, Reiju also came over, and she had already put the phone bug away. I also got good news from her. Captain Xia Luo, my father has agreed to go to the New World at full speed. He is very interested in the 1Q substance you mentioned in this experiment. He also said that this will be the key to him breaking through the blood factor and surpassing Vegapunk. Haha, I knew Judge would be very interested in this. Xia Luo smiled. Although what you just said, Mr. Xia Luo, is true, when I think of Judge's face, I will be extremely angry. Guy on the side scratched his hair frantically. Well, it's up to you two to handle your own affairs however you want. In short, I just need the results. As long as you can fulfill my requirements, whether it is money or other things, I can satisfy you, and you can enjoy a life of glory and wealth. Xia Luo waved her hand and didn't care at all about his complaints. Really? That's great. After all, boss, you know that research is very expensive? Upon hearing this, Gaisa's eyes lit up, and then he started to talk flatteringly with his little hands and face. Money is not a problem with me at all. You just need to inform Reiju if you want to. Just do whatever you want, and don't bother me with such trivial matters. Lucci, Kaku, Bluno, in the next few days, it's up to you to protect Guy and their experiments, but don't forget to improve your strength. Guy should be able to give you some help in awakening your zone devil fruit. Help. Yes, Master Xia Luo. The CP9 trio bowed respectfully. It turns out that the long-term mission that Xia Luo mentioned before was to protect the guy in front of him. But I didn't expect that Gaisa would have knowledge about the awakening of their zone devil fruit. And Gaisa was also stunned. He didn't expect Xia Luo to know this. When he and Vegapunk were studying blood factors and creating the artificial devil fruit blue dragon form, they indeed discovered a shortcut to awaken the zone demon fruit power. But no one should know except him and Vegapunk. Is it possible that Xia Luo can really read minds and even read his own memory? Thinking about it, Gaisa couldn't help but shudder. Doesn't Xia Luo even know what he is thinking now, than some of his thoughts before? Then he didn't dare to think anymore, and his whole body began to tremble. He made everyone look at him like this. They really didn't know what was wrong with this great scientist, but Xia Luo was already used to the other person's appearance. In this case, it's decided. Gaisa, you should clear out all the poisonous gas in Punk Hazard first. I will stay with you to protect your safety. I will let you know when I return to our camp tomorrow. Indigo takes you to check the progress of 1Q substances and the possibility of implementation. Seeing that things were almost done, Xia Luo immediately decided. Then Xia Luo controlled the ship and took the pirate cadres and Gaisa back to the laboratory. At this time, Luki and the others also began to follow Gaisa, and Kaya also began to learn new medical skills from Indigo. I guess it won't take long for Kaya to become an excellent medical expert and make great breakthroughs in biological research. It's not too far from the island where the Golden Lion's old headquarters was stationed. It only takes a day's journey to get there. Before leaving, Shiki placed the island in a very secluded location near the calm belt. So generally few people can find this island. Night. Xia Luo and others enjoyed delicious food on the boat. After finishing eating, Xia Luo suddenly remembered that Monet's problem had not been solved and immediately asked Pacia on the side. Pacia, has Nai woke up? No, Mr. Xia Luo has been in a coma since you brought Miss Monet back at noon, and she hasn't woken up until now. Hearing Xia Luo's inquiry, Paxia was also very respectful to Kaido. The man in front of her was the prince who saved her from the sea of suffering, and he was also the goal to which she would dedicate everything in the future. So Pacia's behavior was very respectful. You haven't woken up yet? It's a bit strange. Xia Luo touched his head and said with some confusion. You can't be too cruel, right? It's really rare. It's rare to see you attack such a beautiful girl. Nami on the side covered her mouth and joked wickedly. No, I just tapped her lightly on the back of her head. After all, she is a member of the Don Quixote family, so her body is not that fragile. Recalling his previous actions, Xia Luo scratched his head in embarrassment, his eyes wandering. He really just knocked lightly and didn't do anything else excessive. Under Nami's questioning gaze, Xia Luo was defeated and immediately changed the topic. By the way, Pacia, how is Shalulia? There haven't been any big problems in the past few days. Lady Shalulia. Pacia had an unspeakable look on her face. She had been responsible for providing food to Shalulia these days. She did all the laundry and food, but Shalulia's attitude towards her was not very good. She kept yelling that she wanted to leave here, otherwise the Marine Admiral would kill her. Of course Pacia would not listen to what she said, but she was still a little afraid of her identity as a celestial dragon's. Haha, it seems that this woman hasn't learned the lesson yet. She happens to have nothing to do today, so let me discipline her. Seeing Pacia's look, Xia Luo also sneered with a cold expression. He didn't capture Shalulia to make her his woman, but to train her to be his slave and dancer. Now that the future slave dared to show off to the dancers on his ship, he had to teach Shalulia an unforgettable lesson. Just let me bring Shalulia's food. Pacia, you can have a good rest these 2 days and don't worry about her. Yes. Pacia bowed respectfully. Don't overdo it. Nami turned to Xia Luo's back and shouted. Xia Luo waved his hand but did not respond. Haha, this is the slave I captured, although I won't let her die easily. But how he wants to play it depends on his mood. With heavy steps, Xia Luo quickly arrived at the bedroom on the 3rd floor of the cabin and opened the door to Shalulia's room. It is locked and the room can only be opened from the outside. Didn't I say it? The food here tastes terrible. I need the most luxurious team of chefs to come and prepare the most exquisite food for me on site so that I can eat it. As soon as she opened the door, Shalulia's somewhat arrogant voice came over. I saw her lying on the bed, her eyes closed tightly, and she said without raising her head. Now she has taken off the heavy clothes, and the fish tank and silk scarf mask on her head have also disappeared. The strange hairstyle that originally belonged to celestial dragons has also been put down and turned into an ordinary straight long hairstyle, which looks much better than before. Oh, your attitude is really arrogant. I really thought you were still in Holy Land, Mary. Where's Hoya? Xia Luo said in a frivolous and playful tone. The sound reached Shalulia's ears and she immediately woke up. Devil, what are you doing here? I saw her sitting up immediately, then curling up at the corner of the bed and saying tremblingly. Haha, of course I am feeding you, but it seems that you are not satisfied with this food, so I can only feed you something else. Xia Luo chuckled twice, then narrowed her eyes and said with a smile. This look reminded Shalulia of the smile the other party showed when her father and brother died tragically a few days ago. In fact, the food produced by Nokagao is not inferior to the top chefs in the world. It's just that Shalulia wants to maintain her noble status by ridiculing, scolding and belittling her. In this way, she declares her nobility to Pacia. But what she didn't expect was that Xia Luo would come in person today. No need, although the food here is terrible, I will eat it obediently. Xia Luo walked over slowly. The next day, Xia Luo also came to the island where Golden Lion's old team was stationed. There are more than a dozen islands here forming a circle, but each island is not connected. However, the islands are not too far apart, just to prevent some animals from coming to other islands to cause trouble. I learned from Indigo that most of the islands here are their testing sites, and there are a large number of special animals that evolved from SIQ medicine on the islands. Xia Luo directly placed Longyu Island in the center of these islands. Several islands he had collected before were also placed here, leaving them all for Indigo to use as a test site. At this time, Xia Luo was leisurely listening to Konis playing a ditty for herself on Longyu Island, and Lackey was also serving Xia Luo. Master Xia Luo, it's not good. At this moment, Pacia ran over in a hurry, so she accidentally fell to the ground. What's wrong, Pacia? Don't be so flustered. Seeing this, Xia Luo also stood up and helped Pacia up personally. Tell me, what happened and why you are so anxious? Xia Luo patted the dust on her body and then asked doubtfully. Miss Monet, she's awake. Paxia didn't pay attention to Xia Luo's somewhat unruly little hands and said anxiously. Wake up, are you making a fuss? Hearing this, Xia Luo also looked relieved, but this was not enough to make Pacia so panicked, right? After all, Monet is wearing Li Hao, Seastone's handcuffs now, so she shouldn't be able to cause any trouble if she can't use her abilities. No, I think it would be better for Mr. Xia Luo to go and have a look in person. Pacia shook her head. Seeing this, Xia Luo's expression became serious. What happened? I won't be able to do it yesterday, the blow was really severe, but Monet couldn't survive it and just burped, right? You don't want this kind of thing. Xia Luo rushed to the room where Monet was detained as quickly as possible. After arriving at the station, Xia Luo called Shalulia and Monet off the boat and arranged them in an empty room on Longyu Island, so the distance was not too far. At the same time, Xia Luo also released his own observation Haki perception and the feedback. When I received the information, I found that Monet's vitality was also very good, and it didn't look like he was going to send it. Lao Mai. There was a sound at the door. Xia Luo walked directly to the room. Monet is lying on the bed, the sun shines on her soft cheeks, and a gentle feminine breath spreads around her. She seems to be a very gentle and kind-hearted woman. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Monet, who was originally looking out the window, also turned his head to look at Xia Luo's position. Hello, are you the owner of this island? Can you let me go? These handcuffs are a little heavy. I feel weak all over. Monet showed a gentle smile and said calmly. At the same time, he also raised his hands with seastone handcuffs. Xia Luo frowned and looked a little serious. What's going on? I won't really beat Monet stupid, right? This attitude is too different from yesterday, and he doesn't look like the same person at all. Chapter 100 Amnesia. What's wrong? Sir, don't worry, I won't run away, I just want to be more comfortable. After all, this limp state is really uncomfortable. Seeing Xia Luo frowning, Monet also looked troubled. When she woke up, she found that her hands were trapped and her whole body was limp. Through some information in his head, he learned that the handcuffs on his hands were made by Seastone, and that he was a demon fruit power. This is what caused me to have this symptom. Have you lost your memory? Xia Luo asked in a confused tone. Amnesia? What must be going on? Now I feel like my head is empty. Except for some common sense, my past memories and my identity are completely gone. Monet looked at his hands with a confused expression, then said with a gentle smile. My mind tried hard to recall everything I had experienced in the past, but in the end there was still no picture to respond. Now, she has no memory of the past at all, and is not very clear about the current situation. She can only answer Xia Luo's questions truthfully. But it seems that his identity is not a good one here in Xia Luo, and he may be a prisoner or something. Could it be that I was the enemy of the man in front of me before? Was I defeated and caught by him? Then why didn't he execute himself, but instead rescued him and helped him heal? Various thoughts appeared in Monet's mind, but no matter how she guessed, she could never remember the cause of the matter. Sorry, I can't help you remove the shackles on your hands yet. I can only force you to live like this for a while. Xia Luo stared at Monet for a long time, and saw the confusion in his movements and eyes. None of this seemed to be fake. But out of caution, Xia Luo rejected Monet's request and planned to observe it for a while. But in Xia Luo's opinion, that confused look just now seemed to be fake. Xia Luo would like to call him the strongest actor. Why? Is it because I was your enemy before? Or did I do something that harmed you? Please rest assured that I will not do such a thing now, I promise you. Seeing Xia Luo's resolute attitude, Monet didn't give up yet, so he asked with a hint of temptation. This sentence is also a test of what she has done before, she wants to. From Xia Luo's mouth, I learned some things about herself before she lost her memory. No, although you were indeed my enemy before, I handcuffed you not because you did anything to harm me, but because I was afraid that you would be too distracted to commit suicide. Xia Luo didn't hide anything and directly stated the reason. Suicide? Why would I want to commit suicide? Could it be that you, sir, saved me? Monet was stunned for a while. He really didn't expect that he would have such a past. He actually committed suicide and was saved by Xia Luo. Yes, you were saved by me, so now you are my property, you are my thing, I will not allow you to die easily. Xia Luo said with a calm expression. There is no need to deceive the other party on this matter. It is just a good time to test whether Monet really has lost his memory. Sir, are you confessing your love to me? But it's not very gentlemanly to say such things, saying that I'm your belongings and things. You should be a little gentler with girls. Monet's expression was a little shy, and he covered his cheeks with his hands and said embarrassedly. I'm just telling the truth. No matter what, I will make you my woman. Xia Luo stepped forward and twisted Monet's chin, leaning her face forward, looking closely into her eyes. At least let's get along with him for a while first. He is really a domineering man. Speaking of which, I still don't know your name, Doctor. Monet, who was watched closely by Xia Luo, turned redder and redder, and a sense of shyness emerged from her heart. My name is Xia Luo. You must remember it. This will be the name of the person you will spend your whole life with. Xia Luo let go of Monet's cheek and smiled again. It seems that Monet has really lost his memory, otherwise he would not have this reaction. Xia, inform Reiju and ask her to call Kaya over to check Monet's health to see if there is anything wrong with her body. Xia Luo ordered Xia, who was waiting at the door. Yes, Sir Xia Luo. After receiving the order, Xia ran out quickly. Be careful, don't fall down. Looking at Xia's hurried figure, Xia Luo warned again. Yes, Xia's voice responded from far away. Well, there is nothing serious about Monet-chan's body. The cause of the amnesia is still unclear. But I feel that it was brother Xia Luo who hit you too hard, which caused Miss Nai's amnesia. Kaya glanced at Xia Luo with a blaming look. Excuse me, Miss Ship Doctor. Monet smiled and thanked Kaya. No, it's not a big deal, but my medical skills are currently unable to find out whether Miss Monet will regain her memory in the future, or how long it will take to regain her memory. Kaya responded to her with a gentle smile. As for memory matters, just let them take their own course. Monet said with a smile without paying too much attention. Now she is still a little confused about the future. This is her new life without any memories of the past. This is a relief. Through what Xia Luo just said, I don't know why I want to seek death. But after her rebirth, she didn't have this idea. She wanted to live, so she didn't seem to have much interest in exploring her past memories. Then Miss Monet, please rest for a while first. If you feel any discomfort, please inform me in time. Kaya stood up and picked up her medical tools, then nodded to Monet and Xia Luo and walked out of the room. She didn't want to disturb anything Xia Luo was going to do next, she just did what a doctor should do. But after she walked out of the room, Xia Luo followed closely. Brother Xia Luo, is there anything else? Kaya turned around and asked in confusion. Kaya, is there any medicine that can delay Monet's amnesia? Xia Luo asked directly. Delay the disease? Brother Xia Luo, doesn't he want Monet to regain his original memory? Kaya looked at Xia Luo doubtfully. Yes, if I can delay this symptom, I can save a lot of trouble in the future. Let me give it a try. I can also ask Teacher Indigo to make it together. Kaya looked a little embarrassed, but she still agreed. Then it's up to you, Kaya. Xia Luo put her cheeks up and rewarded Kaya, the latter blushed in face, showing a satisfied smile and walked away. Huh? Have Mr. Xia Luo and Miss Kaya finished talking? Seeing Xia Luo return to the room, Monet said with a gentle smile. Well, it's already said. You can walk around anywhere on this island, as long as you don't go to the laboratory on the next island. If you feel bored in the room, you can go out for a walk. Xia Luo walked to the bed and sat on the chair casually. Well, I still seem to be very free. If I get bored, I will go out for a walk. Thank you very much for your trust, Mr. Xia Luo. If you are hungry, you can go to Nakiko. She is the best cook on our ship. You can tell Nakiko what you want to eat. Xia Luo helped Monet's hair, then stood up and walked out of the room. He also saw that Monet was a little confused now and was not suitable for the strategy. So I plan to give Monet some time to sort out his thoughts first, and then proceed with the strategy. Monet glanced at Xia Luo who exited the room, then turned his head to the window again. But her thoughts had scattered, and now she was thinking about her future and what she should do in the future. The other side. After Xia Luo left Monet, she did not go back to the hall directly, but walked to Shalulia's room not far away. Shatter. The sound of the door opening sounded again, but this time it was Gen Lulia's door. Luo. Sir Xia Luo. I have been eating properly, can I not eat so much this time? Xia Lulia in the room said with a somewhat frightened expression when she saw Xia Luo, CEAF, arriving. Shalulia looked a little addicted. You are my slave, you cannot disobey my orders. Treating Xia Luo's expression didn't improve much, and she said in a cold tone. Yes. Yes, Master Xia Luo. Xia Lulia's face turned a little crimson, as if she had awakened some extraordinary attribute. A few hours later. Master Xia Luo, I really can't eat anymore. Shalulia's expression was a little painful, but there was a hint of enjoyment, and she spoke with difficulty. After all, Xia Luo is also a super chef in another aspect. I'll let you go this time. I will ask Pacia to come over and teach you something later. Remember to learn from me well, otherwise it won't be so simple next time. Xia Luo stood up slowly, put on her coat and walked out. Yes. Yes, Xia Luo Tianxia, Shalulia's intermittent Kaido. Pacia, please teach Shalulia how to dance in the next period of time. You must teach her to become a qualified dancer. Returning to the hall, Xia Luo said to Pacia. Yes, Sir Xia Luo, does it start from today? Pacia nodded and asked. No, let Shalulia rest for 2 days. Her current body is not suitable for studying. Pacia's expression was shy, and she also understood where Xia Luo had just gone. After being free, Xia Luo felt a little bored again. So I continued my previous life of lying down. Lying on Lackey's lap pillow, listening to the ditty played by Conus and watching Pacia's beautiful dance. Xia Luo once again lamented the beauty of life. With this kind of luxury and enjoyment of life, it's no wonder that so many people want to become rich. It seems that I am also slowly degenerating. Guys, Indigo, what happened to the egg I gave you a few days ago? Did it hatch? It has been more than 10 days since the Sabodi archipelago incident. When Xia Luo was stationed in this sea area to form his own base, he handed over the unknown pet egg that he had received as a sign in reward to Geisa and Indigo to take care of. Boss Xia Luo, you are here. The instruments show that the egg will hatch in 2 days, but what kind of animal is it? It always feels like a very ferocious creature. How about I delay the hatching time of this egg and slightly modify the bloodline inside? Maybe I can hatch a more ferocious creature. Seeing Xia Luo's arrival, Geisa was very excited and kept talking. He learned from the former cadres of the Golden Lion Pirates what Xia Luo had done a few days ago. From killing celestial dragons, then defeat Admiral, kill 5 CPO Chengying, and then exit Sabodi archipelago without any injuries. All signs indicate the strength of Xia Luo, and here, Geisa has obtained the identity of the top cadre of the technical class, and it can be said that he is prosperous. He also enjoyed the luxurious life he had always wanted to live, which made Guy laugh. I am even more determined to embrace Xia Luo's thigh. He had forgotten all his previous attempts to secretly contact Doflamingo for rescue. Wouldn't the benefits be much better than being Doflamingo's subordinate and partner? After Guy made a noise, Indy danced and made different gestures to Xia Luo. After he finished making the gesture, he added, "Good morning, young master. If you can speak, just speak to me directly." Geisa on the side transformed into a shark tooth and slapped Indigo on the back. These days, he has had enough of Indigo's way of expressing language through actions. However, Indigo remained unmoved and continued to act like this. Maybe this is the different special habits of humans in the pirate world. No, this pet egg does not need to be modified. I want to know what kind of creature it will hatch. Xia Luo shook her head, stopping Geisa from wanting to do anything to the egg. Are you kidding me? If you transform the things that Tongzi rewards into weird shapes, it will really be more of a loss than a gain. Okay. Geisa seemed a little disappointed, very disappointed to lose a unique transformation material. By the way, Boss Xia Luo, as you ordered, I have brought over the artificial devil fruit made by Vegapunk that you mentioned before. Do you want to eat this devil fruit? According to Vegapunk, this fruit is not perfect and is a defective failure. Geisa quickly walked out of the Lost Yan Yi, took out an apple with a weird pattern from the box and handed it to Xia Luo, then rubbed his little hands and explained to Xia Luo with a smile. Indigo also used gestures to persuade Xia Luo to think twice before eating the devil fruit. Xia Luo feels that these two people are a good match. One is good at action performances and the other is good at facial arts. If they can perform together on stage, they will definitely become world-famous comedians. I also know that this devil fruit is defective. I am currently considering whether to eat this devil fruit, but speaking of it, the defect in it, Guy, you must have some idea of the problem, right? Xia Luo had a playful expression on her face as she kept throwing the apple up and catching it, and then asked Guy. I probably know something. When he was working with Vegapunk, he also revealed that the color of this fruit after eating is completely different from Kaido's, so it was defined as a failure by Vegapunk. Well, although this fruit has the same ability as the blue dragon fruit, it is unknown whether it can evolve to a higher level like the blue dragon fruit. Guy's smile was a little forced, and there were a few drops of cold sweat on his forehead. He was really afraid that if something went wrong after Xia Luo ate the fruit, he would be torn into pieces, so he was so nervous, wanting to dissuade Xia Ling from eating the devil fruit.